Good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. March 4th, 2021. Morning, Joey. Thanks for being back with me today. As always, let me show you how we do it here. Indian Sanity merch, Cup of Joey merch in the description below. I'm wearing it right now. Check this out. Look at this shirt. Look at that. That is sick. The net being Indian Sanity right there. Then on the back, we got, you can't really see, but it's in the link. Go check it out. We got crew necks, hoodies, t-shirts. On the back, it's just the state, and the state is basically the net, and then it has all the different locations for where the games are going to be played coming up this month. So nice and comfy, looks clean, looks good, simple design. Got to get your hands on one, man. Hoodies, crew necks, t-shirts. You got a Hoops Heaven t-shirt as well. So, hey, it's history. Let's rock it, and let's rock it proud, Indy, okay? Great show today. We got KFC, the one and only KFC. You know him. You've known him forever. You've been following him forever. I feel like there's not a time in my life that I don't remember not following or not knowing who KFC was. I mean, he's been around forever. If you know the internet, if you know Bar Stool, you know KFC. So he's going to stop by at 9:15 around that time. We're going to just chat about life, how things are going for him, play a few games. Then we're going to do top 5 times that you don't have to go to mass. Or if you're not Catholic like both of us, just church. It's Sunday, not feeling it. What are the best excuses or reasons to where you're like laying in bed, you're like, man, I really, really just don't want to go today. And then you don't end up having to go. Top 5 reasons for that, since him and Fights do top 5 lists on KFC radio. So we're going to get into that. I want to hear some feedback. I got a lot of good feedback from the Catholic and the church stuff so far. I've done the blog about, now that's what I call mass, with the songs that you hear at a Catholic church. I've gotten, what else did I do? The priest videos that I've done, a lot of good feedback. So I want to hear your guys' in the comments, reasons why you don't have to go to church. What are the top ones when you wake up and you just think you have to go, but then all of a sudden you end up not having to. So that's all coming up. Let's get into it. Let's get into today, a little triple shot. We got full show. Like I said, KFC coming up at 9:15. I woke up to be with Happy late last night, and I saw that Baker Mayfield apparently is seeing aliens. And immediately I tweeted at Cowherd. I said, hey, you got to clear the show for tomorrow. This is it. This is all we're talking about tomorrow, Cowherd. Nothing but Baker and seeing the aliens. He said, this is from Baker, what he tweeted last night. Almost 100% his wife, and I just saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. We stopped and looked at each other and asked either of us saw it. Very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards Lake Travis. Anybody else witness this? Okay. So right off the bat, maybe it was, a shooting star that they just perhaps thought it was aliens. Maybe there's, maybe it's like Christmas Vacation style. That's not the Christmas star, Grizz. Is an oil plant. Maybe it's one of those. Maybe they have not an explosion, but just an accident where there's a little spark that goes up. I don't know. But that Cowherd is going to be going in on this today, whether it's the Herdline News, whether it's right. I wouldn't be surprised if he led with this off the bat. I really wouldn't. Can you just see him? Joey, let me start with this. So Baker, my boy Baker, he apparently he saw aliens last night on his way home from dinner. I don't like my quarterbacks to be in conspiracy, aliens. You think Russell Wilson would be into aliens? Russell Wilson's buying into film. He's not buying into aliens. Just start. That's coming. You just know it's coming. So Baker's seeing aliens. I don't know, man. I just feel like by now we would know. I feel like by now we would know. Seth says living in the stadium is starting to mess with Baker's head. Hey, I tweeted about it right before, or maybe it was during when the Browns were kicking the Steelers' ass, but those commercials were winning me over, man. I got to admit. Did not like them at the start because, Baker, 12 16 as a starter. But as time went on, I was digging it. They were not that bad. John Tucker, did he go to a hot box restaurant? I don't know. Am I missing something there with the hot box joke? David, self-sabotage of mass by eating breakfast. So you're saying, okay, David's saying go eat breakfast. That way you miss mass, I think. I don't know. I'm excited about that one. That's going to be really good. That's going to be really good. I don't know. I mean, I think Nate Burleson also said that he saw it. He's going to drop a video, and he said that, in all caps, aliens are real. I think we would know. I feel like they would be like, how are we going to go this entire throughout human history? I don't believe in like the big old, just this mask over our eyes. And maybe that's me being naive, but don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, right? Ignorance is bliss. Would you want to know, like, if aliens, Men in Black style, were like walking among us? I don't think I would. That'd freak me out. I wouldn't trust anybody. I barely trust anybody as is, let alone if there's aliens walking among us. I don't know. I guess it would be cool to. I mean, we already lived through 2020, right? So might as well just bring the aliens. It would be cool to be able to say that you like lived through that. But like, here's the thing: is that everybody thinks that when aliens come or when there's some huge disastrous moment like that on Earth or for mankind, everybody thinks that they're going to be the main character in the movie that like somehow survives, like War of the Worlds style or whatever. When in reality, like 98, 99% of us would be the people that in the first 2 minutes just get zapped and die. So everybody thinks that they'd be saving the world and everything would be all good and hunky-dory. I don't think so, man. Go Tigers. Are we talking like real life aliens or just alien life like organisms? No, I'm talking like what everybody thinks, like Rockwell, like the movies, like War of the Worlds, like coming down and they're, who knows if they're, everybody talks about them being just like the classic, like greenish with the big eyes. I'm talking that kind of alien. I know there's like, the organisms and stuff on Mars and everything like that, but I'm talking, no, we're talking mankind versus another alien life form going at it. Hey, Kyan, be nice. Come on. We're not doing that. I appreciate you guys being here. KFC coming up in a handful of minutes. 9:15. Looking forward to that interview. I was always a little intimidated by KFC. I think I still kind of am. I joked about it with him over the summer, but first time I was in the Bar Stool office, he kind of snubbed me. He didn't like realize what was going on. And, there's a lot of people coming and going in the office. It was pre-pandemic. So there's even more people coming and going from the office. So I was in there and I don't think he really realized, who I was or anything, but everybody else was kind of like, hey, what's up, man? Yeah. And KFC he just kind of walked by. So I always give him a hard time about that. He kind of snubbed me. Stuart says, my mom cried when the president spoke on Independence Day. Who didn't? It's like, that's like up there with like the Gettysburg Address and like, ask not what you can do for your country or your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Yeah, that's up there with those. Hey, my Pacers bounced back last night. I know a lot of people, they're very local, and I'm a Pacers fan, so everybody can get off my back about how, well, you're from Indiana, root for the Colts. I root for the Pacers. I'm a huge Pacers fan. And they had dropped 4 in a row, and they were down and out bad. And they were down last night by like 17 the third quarter, came all the way back. But TJ McConnell made history last night. Little TJ McConnell, triple-double, 10 steals for the game, 9 of them in the first half. That's an NBA record. 9 steals in the first half. It was unreal. It was a TJ McConnell game. It really was. I still don't know how he's in the NBA. It defies all odds. I mean, you look at the dude, and he's a Steelers fan, so I love him for that. But you look at the guy, and I mean, he should honestly be running, on court 2 at the local YMCA. And he's out there, getting cookies on Colin Sexton and making NBA history last night. It's unreal. He really is, like, I tweeted it last night. He is the epitome of the guy that you just absolutely cannot stand when he's not on your team, but when he's on your team, he's your favorite player. He may be the most. There may not be another player in any sport ever that's more that fits that description more than TJ McConnell. He's pesky. He's little. He's annoying. He's always trying to, get in somebody's handles and cause, wreak havoc. I was trying to think last night, and there's a few people that I thought of, who is the most annoying, who is the most, quote, love him on your team, hate him on another team guy ever. I came up with TJ McConnell, obviously, because he was the one that started the list. And then I said Phillip Rivers, Lance Stevenson, if you remember him, throwback. So right off the bat, my Indy bias is coming in. I have 3 people who, current Pacer, former Pacer, and last year former Colt, who's going out of Colt, Phillip Rivers. 3 dudes right off the bat from Indy that just, no matter where they are, what they're doing, if they're on your team, you love all the fire. You love Phillip Rivers doing the and all this bullshit. And you love Lance Stevenson, flopping and getting in LeBron's head when he's on your team. But, man, if they're not, least favorite player of all time. Like, they're the player that makes you break something, like throw something at the wall, punch the door. I don't know if you guys are hardcore fans like that. I'm trying to step away from that, but those are those kind of guys. What about Richie Incognito? I feel like that one's tough. I mean, he's an offensive lineman. Maybe he's probably like that for the guys on his own team, apparently. But I feel like he's just a dude that, is always going to be in the scrum and you're just going to hate. And then I said Baker Mayfield, too. Pat Beverly. Wow. Yeah. Damn, everybody's coming at Pat Beverly. That's true. Joey, if you count my heart, he had 11 steals in that performance. Oh, that's true, man. He was stealing the hearts of everybody last night. And Ndamukong Suh, damn. Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh, especially against the Packers. And Aaron Rodgers, really just wherever Aaron Rodgers play, or not wherever Ndamukong Suh plays, whenever he plays the Packers, there's just some sort of crazy beef there between him and A-Rod. A-Raj. Do we call him A-Rod? You got Andy Roddick, you got Alex Rodriguez, of course, and you got Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Albert Pujols. See, I'm not talking about a guy that like. Everybody hated Albert Pujols who didn't play for him because he was so good in his prime. I'm talking guys like Pat Beverly, TJ McConnell, Lance Stevenson, guys that aren't the best player on the team, that aren't the one that is like, man, he's going to hit the clutch shot. He's going to, he's going to kill us all night long. He's not, not talking like LeBron. Yeah, everybody knows LeBron is just going to assassinate you. I'm talking about like, from the Heat days with LeBron, like Birdman or Udonis Haslem. Oh, dude, Mario Chalmers, all of those kind of dudes. That's what I'm talking about. Those kind of guys, not the dudes like Albert Pujols or LeBron James, TJ McConnell, John Starks back in the day, KFC. You know a thing or two about John Starks.
I was going to say, did I hear a John Starks reference early in the morning? What do we got? What's the context here?
Yeah, so I'm talking about like TJ McConnell from the Pacers. I don't know. Yeah, last night he set an NBA record with 9 steals in the first half.
Yeah.
And I tweeted, he's the epitome of the guy that when you're playing against him, if he's not on your team, you're just like, fuck this guy.
Yes.
He's the worst.
Yes.
But if he's on your team, he's the best thing.
I remember playing against this kid in high school. And he looked exactly like him, actually. Like the shrunken down high school version of him. And he guarded me. We guarded each other all game. And every time he'd go to the hoop, he'd like throw his shoulder into my chin. And it was like, it was kind of dirty, but he was getting away with it. And my teeth were like mangled by the end of the game. He was a pest the whole time. Steals, like you're saying, left to right. And I was just like, I hate this guy, but I want to be him too at the same time. He's the epitome. If I could be one guy in sports, aside from just like the greatest, the guy where people say you hate him, except if he's on your team, you love him. I love that guy.
Yeah, but that was John Starks, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, Starks was like, Starks was an interesting. I mean, I was so young too that I don't even know if I could fully like characterize him and appreciate him. But Starks was so interesting because he was like beloved, and then he had that just horrendous Game 7 in the finals, and like kind of like Beltran with the Mets with Caught Looking. Like stupid fans only remember that one moment. He was like 0 for like 35 in Game 7, and it just is like the lasting memory of him. Yeah, he was that dude for sure. He just embodied like New York. All those guys on that team did, where it was just like, fuck you, we're gonna beat you up.
Why do you choose pain over happiness?
I don't. Pain chooses me. I had a shirt on sale. I'm not sure if it's even still there. It says, it says, I didn't choose this life. This life chose me. Like it did. I was born into it. You can't help who you're born into. And then, but I did choose. I was born into the Mets, and I guess I did choose the Jets because like my house is not a football house or a baseball house. My mom is the sports fan. My dad is more like, he does like mechanics and carpentry, and that's his like guy shit, but he doesn't do sports. It's all driven by my mom. So she gave me the Mets, but because she's a chick, she didn't like grow up playing football. Football wasn't her bag. So when it came time for me to like start watching football and getting into that, I chose the Jets technically because you know why? I'm a man of honor, Joseph. Like why these people in New York who mix and match. When you're a Yankees Jets fan, when you're a Mets Giants fan, fuck you, Clem. It doesn't make sense. It's like you can't be the cocky 27 rings, bro, Yankee fan, and then the calendar flips to the fall and you're like the lowly, hapless Jets fan. It's like your personality. It's who you are as a person, Joey.
See, even as a kid growing up in Indy, I always like that always made sense to me. I always looked at the New York teams and I was like, well, yeah, like I honestly thought it was like a rule. I was like,
it basically is.
If you're a Jets fan, you're a Mets fan, and yes. If you're a Yankees fan, you're a Giants fan. Like it just made sense.
It's very rare that you see. I call them gypsies. The gypsies who mix and match and cross over are I would imagine maybe 10% of the population. It's very bizarre how much they all go together. You know what's very interesting? I said this. I think I said this on the rundown yesterday. If there's ever like you don't need any more proof that New York is a Knicks town because nobody gives a fuck about the Nets. And I know that there's probably a small group of Nets fans who are like, no. And I'm sure if they go ahead and win the NBA title, things will change a little bit, of course.
Sure.
But I mean, the Knicks are 500 and fans are dancing in the street and they're the talk of the internet. They're the talk of New York. The Nets have gone and assembled the greatest super team, arguably ever, maybe since the Heat, the Warriors, and nobody cares. I mean, nobody's talking about them. The back pages don't care about them. Nobody. It's wild, man.
Do you think that now, do you think that free agents will start seeing, oh, wow, New York is just 500 and people are losing their minds? Maybe I do want to go to the Knicks.
I've always said it's going to take like the next LeBron needs to want to go to New York. Like there's got to be one guy who says, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one to bring
KD was supposed to be that guy.
I know. And LeBron before him. And that's why I always give Amari Stoudemire like a tip of the cap. He tried to do it and he just wasn't that guy. But he was the one who signed the Knicks for like $100 million. That allowed Carmelo to come. They had that like 2 seed, that 1 year where they're the 2 seed. But that's how it works. Like one guy takes the leap, and that's enough for a second guy to sign up, and then you get some pieces around him. But it needs to be, in the NBA now, it needs to be one of those guys who's just undeniable. And until they land it through the draft, which just has not happened, it's going to take that one dude who's like, I know I'm already good. I know I will probably win a title like at some point. Like I'm guaranteed that good. Let me do it in New York and become a sports immortal. Because people are like, oh, you can go anywhere now. You don't have to be in a big market. The world's gone digital, blah, 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 blah. That's all true. If you win in Madison Square Garden and you bring this team back from the depths of hell after like 15, 20 years, you will be a king for the rest of time. So, but I feel like people are going.
What's that dude who broke his leg? He came back and he had like a broken leg and he walked out of the tunnel.
Yeah, Willis Reed. Right. Willis Reed came out. Dude, that's like one of the funniest like sports myths ever. Like he came out, he hit one jumper, and like that was it. The rest of the game, he was like 2 for 7. He played like 15 minutes. Like
30 for 30 on him, like walking out of the tunnel.
It's all he did. He came out, he hit one jumper, The team and the fans went bananas, and he's a god for it. Could you imagine if you bring a title back to this team now after everything that's happened? Oh my God! But would you do that though? Like, I feel like people gave Durant so much trouble, and super teams are always such a debate. It's like, I don't know. Think about it from our point of view. If you could like sign up with Barstool, or you could be like, no, I'm gonna go take SB Nation to the top, man. Like, I'm gonna be the guy who makes it happen. Or it's like, I'm just gonna go have a great career, like make some money, have some great times, be the best.
Yeah, but in that scenario, no offense to another company or whatever, but like they're not like the Knicks are Barstool. And
yeah,
Barstool,
I was gonna say we're talking about all premier spots. It's not. There's really no comparison to Barstool.
Right? Yeah, exactly. When I was out there actually, or about this week last year, when I first came to the office, took the wife. I was like, we got to go to MSG. I have to.
Yep.
And super cool, super historic, but
flat.
Kind of underwhelmed, man.
Yeah, flat. Like, and that's why you should come back soon, especially like if they really can hold on and they're in playoff contention down the stretch. The place goes bonkers, man. Like the last time I had a friend in high school, her family had season tickets. So I cozied up to her and I was like our best friend, super friend zoned, but whatever. Got Knicks playoff tickets out of it, which is better than anything else. And I mean, when that place it's right in the middle of Manhattan. Everybody's coming in from the outer boroughs. Everybody congregates on the Garden. They're coming up the escalators. They're coming out from the subway. Everybody converges on this one spot in the city under the bright lights, and it's tiny. And it's like when it's loud,
high school gym, dude.
Yeah,
we didn't. We weren't getting the prime seats. We were up in the fucking rafters. And so it was historic and it was great, but I was honestly I feel like I'm at Newcastle in Indiana, watching a sectional game.
Which is why it's kind of cool though. It's not monster arena type thing. It's this little basketball spot, and when it gets loud, it's shaking. And they also recently redid it. Not recently. It's probably I say these things recently. The same way I'm sure we'll talk about mass, but the same way I say the new prayers at church. The new prayers are 20 years old. Yeah. But they redid it relatively recently and kind of made it a little more sanitary, if you will. It was a little more like just a building. But man, yeah, it's the only thing in town where we all agree. Mets and Yankees are at each other's throats. Jets and Giants don't really like each other. The Nets, like I said, are kind of irrelevant. There's a little bit of a rivalry now, but it's mostly just everybody roots for the Knicks.
I forget. Are you a Rangers guy?
Hockey was the one where I did truly choose pain because I was I can't then go be a Rangers fan. So probably 8 years ago, I jumped on the bandwagon for blog purposes because this was when Tavares was there and they made a playoff push. And I jumped on the Isles bandwagon. So if I kind of pushed the Isles. I sold Islanders t-shirts. I got to know Tavares and the team. Yeah. And then Frankie came along and I was like, okay, you're an actual fan. So I'm going to stop my shtick because we have real representation now.
You'd be the Islanders guy. Yeah. That's cool. The Sage says in the comments, going back to the annoying guy, this takes the cake, I think. Grayson Allen. He's just a bad person. He's just a bad guy, I mean, I actually have no idea if he is or not, but God, he was a bad one. I mean, Duke had that run still going, but they had that run forever where they always had one asshole. But that guy with he was one who looked like Ted Cruz, right? Yeah.
I mean, your face, Grayson, your face.
To him and he's punching the bench and freaking out and tripping people.
The tripping was he still did that in the NBA, right? Didn't he get a look in the league and he was still tripping dudes?
It's I don't know if it's a fetish or a thing.
That's a true compulsion. If in a post game he said I don't know, guys, I'm sorry, I'm just addicted to tripping people. I'd be like, okay, that almost makes more sense than the alternative because you seemingly cannot stop yourself.
Yeah, no, exactly. You can make a whole roster. I mean, John Shire, JJ Redick.
You could make it all
Christian.
You could make it all starting five and entire B team, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th man with those guys. Yeah, a lot of those guys too.
Am I going to get you to Indy this month?
I mean, I got to make the pilgrimage because the people from Indy seemingly, tell you it's a religious experience. So I'm gonna have to get out there and live that Indy life, man. You guys got March Madness, which is the big hubbub, right?
Yeah, we got more Indie Insanity right here on sale. Okay, so we got that. All right. Well,
It's so weird to me. Maybe because I'm in New York, which is almost like so many people come here. Just the notion of like city and state and home pride, it just doesn't like compute with me. If anything, I'm like, I fucking hate this place. When I see you guys be like Indianapolis, like I'm gonna make T-shirts for Indy. When I see Chicago people with their dumb flag talking about how like this thing that everybody does is so Chicago, I'm like, what? I just this is where I was born, this is where I live, and it's like a shitty, dirty, crowded, expensive city.
See, man, but I mean that is your brand. Like that is that is the KFC brand, right? Like maybe we should flip flop. Maybe let's flip flop lives a little bit. Like you come out to Indy for a while.
Imagine like life swap. We'll do life swap.
Yeah, bring the kiddos if you need, and then I'll go out to New York, and then I guarantee within like a few weeks, a couple months, you'll be like, man, this is fucking great.
Yeah, you come back like you're smoking cigs and you're like, bags under your eyes, like, yeah, fuck life. This place sucks.
Seriously, I got like the gloves that don't have like the fingers all the way. I'm just like, yeah, the whole thing, dude. Riding the subway every day, I
love it, man. Do you think if you lived in a place like New York that is just objectively crowded, dirty, expensive, right now, worse than it's ever been, do you think you'd still have like that hometown pride, or do you think you'd be able to be like, yeah, no, this is where I'm from. My family's here. I live here. I love it, but it's also garbage.
Man,
because that's where I'm at. Like it is my life. People are like, well, then why don't you leave? And I'm like, oh, no, I can't leave here. No, what are you talking about? So like, it is my home, but I can just objectively admit like,
Well, I feel like you said, we're going to talk about like, Mass and Catholicism. Like, I'm a very prideful person when it comes to the things in my life. So like, but at the same time, like that would be my comparison for like you with your home in New York. Like, yeah, I know like, the Catholic Church has a lot of fucked up things. And I know that like Mass is super boring and like kind of like, what is this ritual thing that we're doing? But like, it's been my whole life. So I'll make fun of it with you. But if then somebody else shits on the Catholics, I'm like, fuck you. What do you know?
Yeah. Right. I can make fun of my mom. You can't say shit about them. Right.
Exactly. So, I mean, that'd probably be how I was if I was like from New York in your situation.
I guess I do that too. Like if the right person, like if somebody goes viral clowning New York, I'll be like, oh, well, hang on a minute, fucking, you from Bumblefuck and you're trashing the Mecca or whatever it is. I'll get my pride on if the right person or the right thing goes down. But more often, if someone's like, yo, New York is dirty, crowded, and blah blah blah, I'm like, all right, well, these are just objective facts. I can't really deny that, that's just how the world is working right now.
Yeah, it's tough with Indians because people kind of like they're just like, oh, it's India, no place. There's nothing to do. That I would argue.
I still don't really know the whole experience. I went to the second Giants Patriots Super Bowl, but we like flew in, flew out. Like I didn't experience the city, so I still don't even really know what it's like. And yeah, if you had brought it up, prior to you and Bibbs and all the indie people, I would have been like, yeah, no, it's got to be like a tiny, shitty, like nothing town,
Again, I'm not like I will separate. I will kind of like it is much smaller than New York and Chicago. That's fine,
right?
But just because it's much smaller doesn't mean that it's just like, well, we go there and we just like fucking.
I don't get why people like big, when they're like, oh, you only have 400,000 people. It's like, what you're pumped about the fact that we cram 9 million people into like 30 square miles? Why is that a good thing? What's that about?
The pandemic hub. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, awesome. Whoa, we spread diseases super fast because there's so many people. Great.
Make a t-shirt. Come on, we make a t-shirt.
That was the worst. I remember when Corona was like turning, when it was like, okay, we can no longer make the jokes. Like everyone at Barstool was like, oh, we've done this before with Ebola and swine flu. This is nothing. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is real. Oh, and also you live in the epicenter of it. I was like, great.
Another reason
to right.
New York.
Yeah.
Hey, is it? I was talking about it before you came on, and I was saying, like, I don't remember a time in my life, like when I didn't know of Barstool and KFC as compared to when I did. You know what I mean? Like you've been around for so long. It's been around for so long that if you are like me, that's my life, right? And so is that like weird for you that like now anybody who gets hired, anybody who comes aboard, or anybody of this generation is like known you for so long?
Yeah, what's really weird is if I meet someone who's like, we had a guy on our Clubhouse show, ASL, last week, 2 weeks ago, and he was like, I've been listening, reading, watching you since I was 13. And and we were having conversations on that show about like sex and relationships and life and work and friends and he was throwing out answers based on like shit that we've said and blogged and like our like true beliefs that everyone knows. He's like, well, like you always said, KFC, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I said that like 10 years ago. And this kid is still quoting that. And I was like, we have really like molded some generation right now. That is wild to me. That's bizarre. Because there was a time early on, there was no kids because everyone picking it up was like of age. But then all of a sudden, those people have younger brothers, or they grow up and they have their own kids who are now, I guess, of getting to be of age to read and watch and all that shit. It's like, wait a second, what? So that's always the weirdest thing to me.
How long do you think you'll be doing this? Forever? You think you're going to the grave?
I mean, I think I've always kind of thought a good idea would be, I would imagine at some point like Barstool comes to an end and then I try to do like the Patreon link, like the solo route, see if I can do
Barstool as a company or Bar?
No, my time with Barstool. Like, I mean, if it all works out, I'll just do this forever. Cause it's like, I don't know. To me, at some level, it's also just a job where it's like, as long as they're paying me right and I'm happy doing it. But I could just see a scenario where it's like, it makes more sense for me to try to make my own money and try to do my own thing. But I also thought, so I maybe do that for a little bit. And then I think ultimately maybe just hopefully grab a gig like on like local sports radio, like a WFAN, and just be like, I'm just going to take calls about the Mets bullpen for the next 20 years until I die. I've done part of me wants a little bit of the, I've talked to some guys who do sports radio and they're kind of like, bro, it's kind of boring. It's monotonous. It's like the same thing. Like how many calls can you take on like the coach should be fired or like we should trade for
quarterback
Mike Trout? It's like, yeah, no fucking kidding. You should trade for Mike Trout. And I'm like, you know what that sounds like to me? Lovely. Like that sounds amazing. No drama, no fights, no canceling, no, none of that where it's just like the same kind of Groundhog Day. But I mean, I say that now, but maybe that's just like the event. Maybe I would get bored of that. But I could see do Barstool until like it's run its course. Try to do my own thing for a little bit. Hopefully, maybe just do like easy radio until it's time to cash out.
So was Mike and the Mad? Was that like your shit, Mike?
Yeah. Mike and Dog were like,
Is that what made you get into it, or was it like Stern or who?
No, yeah, Mike and Dog. I never like listened to them being like, I'm gonna do this one day, but it's like so submerged. It's like in my brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I did start doing it, I found myself just like I picked up some of their tendencies and I found myself knowing just little things about like, oh, this is how you like kick it to break. And this is how you come back from break. And, things that have just been like pounded into my head from years and years of listening and watching. But Mike and Dog were like, I remember getting in the car with my buddy and his dad was driving and, he turns the car on and Mike and Dog are just on. And my buddy was like, Dad, like, do we have to listen to this again? Like, you want music on? And he's like, do we have to listen to this? And he was like, yes, you do. You do. You have to listen to this. This is Chris and Mike. Like, you have to learn. This is like who we are. And it was like, a rite of passage. So I went to Fordham and I did the radio there. And that was like my first experience of doing radio. So
that's what you figured in? What was your first show? Like, what was the first KFC experience? Kevin Clancy.
The very first on-air thing I did, Fordham had this show on Saturdays called One on One, which was like a sports talk show, like two guys or girls talking, and it was like for like 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday. So the very first thing I did, I was like the update man for that show, that was my very first taste of being on air, where I had one sheet of paper with like a 60-second. Here are the games being played today. Here are the scores from last night. Here's a little bit of the news of going on in the sports world. And I bombed so bad. Like,
did you have your radio voice going, or was did you?
I don't think I that's one thing I've never really tried to do, because I remember thinking like, I can't keep this up. Like, I don't have one naturally, and if I try to talk like this now and I have to talk like this forever, I'm gonna be fucked when I just want to talk with my normal voice. So I think I just kind of did my thing, but I couldn't. Like, it was like running downhill when your legs just can't keep up. I was like, I started to stumble over a couple words, and then I ran out of breath, and I had too much saliva in my mouth, and then I stumbled again. And by the end of it, I was like, and then tonight, Seton Hall plays.
And you were Boom Goes the Dynamite guy.
Yeah, it really was a Boom Goes the Dynamite, because I remember like I was like, and that's your update to you guys. And then like I like leave the studio and go back into like the bullpen area, and everyone was like, well, we could use a little bit of work. Like there was no denying that, and I knew it. I was like, yeah, that one was tough. Also, that lasted even till, if you can go back and find it, my very first DraftKings ad read. I don't know if I wasn't mention them anymore, but it was pre-taped. It wasn't live. Yet I still I could have just redone it. I don't know why I didn't, because I was just like, promo code KFC. I just couldn't get it out. And I was like, this is harder than it seems. It was the first time that I was like, oh, this is going to be a little more difficult than I thought it was. Like, tip of the cap to everyone who does this shit,
Yeah, no, for sure.
It is one thing that I feel like people think they can do, like, oh,
absolutely.
Fucking Mike doesn't know what he's talking about. Put me in there. It's like, yeah, you're going to talk by yourself for 6 hours? I don't think so, man.
No. I mean, that's the worst part about what we do, dude, is that everybody, we don't go into fucking, the bank and, get on somebody about how they cash the checks and fucking put in the numbers.
I think ultimately that's like a jealousy thing, right? Because nobody wants to be the bank teller, but they do want to do this. So they're like, I could do it. Nobody even thinks about, could I do the monotonous, shitty job? So that's what you did in college. So is that what 18-year-old KFC thought that current day KFC was going to be doing? Or is that what you always wanted to do? No. So I remember, do you remember that show on ESPN where it was like win the job to become like the anchor? It was like like their own American Idol type thing, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
No, I remember the show, but I don't remember what it was called.
Dream Job or whatever. And yeah, there was one guy who I think actually did have a run as like an anchor for a while who won that gig. And I remember thinking like, I want to do that, like I could do that. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to play sports, so maybe I could do it that way. So I got to college. Early on, I didn't join the radio till like sophomore year. I think the first thing I did was I applied to an internship at Conan O'Brien. I was like, oh, I want to do like some of that like late night comedy type shit. Never got it though. Yeah. It was like there was one night where we were all watching Conan, and I said the punchline to the joke before the joke happened, like 2 or 3 times in a show, and people were like, "Wow, you could do this!" And I was like, "I could do this." Oh, yeah.
I'm the next person.
Yeah. And then I did the radio, but the radio made so little money, like no money. And I remember them telling me like, "All right, so if you're lucky, you'll get a job like doing the updates at a local radio station for like, $7 a year. And then if you're lucky, in 30 years, maybe one of the chairs opens up and you'll get a spot." And I was like, that doesn't sound very practical. So
dude, I fucking hate that.
I mean,
he's sitting in the big chair now.
Right. It's like as if it's like, a politician, like a dictator, like, you gotta wait for him to die before you can slide in there. So then I did the finance route for a while. I wasn't going to do any of this shit. I just went and got a regular job and made.
You're going to be a finance guy wearing Sperry's and a fucking sweater every day.
Dude, that was the one thing I knew I didn't fit in. I was like looking at the way these guys dressed. I was like, I'm not good at the job, and I don't dress like these people either. I do not fit this part. But yeah, I dipped my toe in the idea of entertainment in college, but then I was like, let's be realistic. You're not going to be, an entertainer. And then I think that's why it worked though, because I think it's almost like when if you're the girl who's looking for a husband or a boyfriend, you never find it, and when you kind of just chill and be yourself, it happens. I think because I wasn't. I mean, I guess you can look at it 2 ways. You can make it like it was my life's goal and I did everything to get there, and that's why you made it, or I was just kind of like, we'll see where it takes me, and it happened naturally.
The question I get most, probably behind like, do you know Dave? Like, can you talk to Big Cat? That kind of stuff. Is how do you get a job at Bar Stool?
Yeah.
From one of the guys, one of the OGs, one of the dudes has been there forever. Lay it out for somebody, because I've only been here a year. I don't fucking know. I just did my shit, and then all of a sudden, that's it.
Right. You're totally wrong. You are the person who exactly can tell people. It used to be like, we used to tell people, set up a blog, like joeysblog.blogspot.com, because you can just do that for free.
Creed Thoughts /Creed Thoughts.
Exactly that. Yeah. But just do it. Like, start blogging as if you were at Barstool. Blog, several times a day, every day, and send us the link. And if it's funny, and there was a time where we really would read all those links because we were looking to expand. Yeah. Now, I will be honest, it's very hard to cut through the noise where it's like, read my blog, and I'm like, we got
a lot of those.
Yeah. But now, it's not even like, oh, set up this blog that no one's going to see and send it in as a resume. Like, just go do it. You can make an Instagram account and start making videos. And if your friends like it, their friends of friends are going to find it, and they're going to grow. And you don't have to grow it to look at me, I have 500,000 followers. But if someone sends me a link and it's like, oh, this person has, 10,000 followers and seems to be doing something funny, there's proof in the pudding there. You can just do it now. And, if you just started doing your impressions, right, and they just grew naturally, was there any way that you gamed the system or did anything? No, there's people liked it, and it grew enough that, one day it gets retweeted onto, Dan or whoever's timeline, and then it takes off. So just do it,
Right. Yeah. And it's really and it's so funny because I used to be that guy or girl. I emailed Big Cat when I was 21 or whatever, with that same kind of shit of here's my resume from college. Here's
I would love is I fuck chicks and I drink, bro. I'd be perfect for Barstool. It's actually, if you look around, we're a company of internet nerds who are all worried about our engagement and our followers. We're really not the tough guys that it's made out the pirate ship. So, okay, cool. You fuck girls. I didn't fuck that many, bro. How about that?
Yeah, look where I am. But that's, I always get that. And it's just a very distinct before and after, because before, you're like you said, you're emailing, reaching out. I would love an opportunity. I will do anything. Blah, blah, blah.
I feel for that. And I'm sure that 1 out of 100 really would do anything and would be my Frankie to Dave, whatever. But it's very hard because it's they all say the same thing, and they all and there's have been a few times where I'm okay, blog every single day for a month and then we'll talk. And they give up in 3 days, It's so you wouldn't do anything. You couldn't even do the one thing I said to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They want the,
But I think people need to realize take the YouTube algorithm, for example, is designed so that no matter how big it gets, a new person who comes in, you can't be late to YouTube. Think about it. Anybody who starts right now, if you have good shit, you will pop, because that's how the algorithm is working, where it's no matter how big it is, no matter how many people are creating, if people are watching your videos and retaining people for a long time and you'll pop. So just go do it.
Just go do it. That's it. That's the advice. Okay, before we get into top 5 times you didn't have to go to mass or church for people who aren't Catholic like us, I got to ask, because I know you'll have an opinion on this. You have an opinion on everything, but I know you will. I did this with Tristan Wirfs the other day on Going Deep, and it's something that I am very passionate about. So I want to get your thoughts. All right, eat every day, eat one more time, never eat again. Oatmeal cream pie, fudge round, nutter butter. What's your go-to?
Dude, I don't eat any of these.
What?
Is this a regional thing? I don't even know what the second one was. Say it again.
Wait, Little Debbie's? You don't know Little Debbie bakery cake stuff?
I know Little Debbie, but what was the actual name of the thing you
Oatmeal
said?
Cream pie, fudge round.
Fudge round. What is that?
It's just the fudge chocolate version of an oatmeal cream pie, essentially.
Brother, I don't think I've ever even seen these.
Nutter butter? Have you seen those?
Yes, nutter butter.
No, you got to look up fudge round first, because if you don't know fudge
yeah, I looked up fudge round. I'm saying I don't think I've even seen that one. That's crazy, because that looks good. That looks fire.
You got to go to wherever the market is out there, whatever the fuck it is. You got to go and get some fudge rounds after this.
Yeah, the real nutter. Okay, so oatmeal cream pie, this fudge cream pie basically, and nutter butters.
Yeah.
I will. I guess I would have to say for the fudge round looks amazing, but because I've never had it, I probably can just continue my life of not having them. So I guess I'll say never eat that one again. I feel like oatmeal cookies and oatmeal cream pie stuff get a bad rap. I feel like oatmeal cookies are fire and they kind of get like forgotten. The cream pie, I feel like it's just so ridiculous that they're called cream pies too. It's very. I love a good cream pie. You know,
they were made before the internet porn days.
Yes, exactly. I'll go Nutter Butter one time and oatmeal cream pie for the rest of my life.
Okay, so that's.
I gotta go with this fudge round though.
We need to put an asterisk next to that because. You know, you got to try the fudge round. I need a taste test once you get the fudge rounds, your hands on fudge rounds. Okay.
For sure.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Now let's get into top 5 times you didn't have to go to mass or church. So what I'm saying is that like how I defined it is like it's a Sunday or whenever you go to church, you'd normally have to go. You think you have to go. And then it ends up being, all right, I don't got to go. You get out of it somehow. Do you have your 5?
You know what's ridiculous is that you do actually say I like Nick Saban. You like that was you just naturally did like I.
Oh, I believe like it sucks, dude. I think I talked to you about it on Friday Night Pints over the summer, but like a lot of times I will start like kind of bleeding into the impression. Like sometimes if I like laugh a little bit, I'll be like like it's luck a little bit, or you know, if I start reviewing things, Kuiper automatically comes out.
Like look at this.
Yeah, seriously. Like if I'm just like, well, we could go to Fat Five Guys, very good. You know, like go into that. If I'm making like a really serious point to my wife, she's like, "You gave me some cow herd there." I'm like,
"That's amazing, man."
Yeah. But dude, so
right, so I misread the text. I thought you were saying top 5 excuses to get out of going to mass, and I was racking my brain all night because I was like. That didn't exist in my world. Like there was no excuse. You couldn't get out of going to mass. It was either like when I was a kid, it was like you're going to fucking mass.
Did you go to Catholic grade school in high school?
What's that?
Did you go to Catholic grade school in high school?
No, I actually didn't. My brother went to Catholic grade school and then high school. Yeah, and then I was always a public school kid. My family didn't love me. They just sent me off. threw me to the wolves. But my grandma and my grandparents were like heavy hardcore. I think they used to go like. You know, almost every day. That type of shit. But then my mom was, it's kind of how it's progressing, like generationally, where it's like everybody kind of lessens their church going. You know what I mean? So like, but up until when my grandparents were alive, there was no, you're not going to church. And then once they kicked the bucket, there was a little wiggle room. And then once I was an adult, I was like able to kind of make my own decisions. But there was no like way to get out of it. So, but when you're saying like when you do, all right. So give me one of yours, and I'll.
All right. Yeah. So like 5 for me, is like when you're on vacation. You know, like it's a Sunday. There's a church that you could go to on vacation, and you're up in the air on Saturday night. If you're going to bed, you're like, we might have to go to some weird church that I don't really know anything about.
Yep.
Be the weird people that everybody's looking at. But then you wake up and they're like, your parents are like, it's vacation. We're not going to go.
Right. It's like,
get out of there. No church.
I think the away game church move is like for hardcore. I feel like you got to be like the people who I knew a guy, man, this dude, his name was Joe. We would go out. I mean, he was a tour de force of underage drinking and premarital sex and just bad behavior, And until we were like 25, he probably still is doing it, but he would like go home with some chick, mangled drunk, like do the deed, bang it out, wake up like a brewery, whatever, and find a church in like her neighborhood or her town and stumble his way in. I mean, it was like, what?
That's the Catholic way, baby.
It really is. That's the Catholic way. I'll go. It's similar to like school for me, like. When almost a sick day, when your mom would let you off the hook, when it was like, you do feel a little warm, you do have a little bit of a cough, and then it's like, as soon as they're gone, you're fucking like partying, playing in the house, feeling like $1 million. But the church sick day for me.
Church sick day. Okay, my number 4 is when you're at a friend's house, sleepover.
Mm-hmm.
You usually have to go at your house, but then you're at the sleepover, and they're like, "We don't know what church is." Fuck it, you know what I mean? You're like, "This is why I come over here."
I will go. This was a specific instance, but it happened like a couple times for me. Later in my grandparents' life, there was a couple times where like grandma wasn't going to be able to get up and get in the car and get to the church, and it was like someone's got to stay home with her, and I was like her favorite. So it was like you can stay home, like stay with me, like Jesus would want it that way, sort of thing. Like I'm doing the Lord's work. I'll stay with grandma a while, because knowing that deep down inside her, she was like dying that she wasn't going to mass. I was like, I'll stay home and take care of grandma.
How did you, the public, not the private school kid, but the public, how did you get to become grandma's favorite?
There was a time prior to this Barstool world where I think I was the favorite kid all around. Parents loved me, grandparents loved me. Now probably not so much. Now I'm a little bit the black sheep of the family for most reasons. But yeah, I don't know. I was just my charming, endearing self, Joseph. I don't know.
All right, number 3. You mentioned it earlier, but number 3 for me is when you've come of age and you can finally look your mom in the eye and say, "I'm not going."
Yep. Why? Because I don't want to. Because it's all made up. It's a whole fucking lie.
And she doesn't. There's not like, you can see the disappointment in her face, but at the end of the day, she just got to turn away and go herself.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'll take that one better. Not even when you say like I don't want, like not you not wanting to go, her, your mom, not wanting you to go. Like I'm cripplingly hungover on a Sunday and you look just disgusting and disheveled, and you'll bring shame to the family name if you show up in a public setting, where it's just like, just go back to bed. Just go back to bed. Like nobody even wants you here. That's when my Catholic guilt kicked in the most, where I was like, oh, wow, I really am like a failure. Like they don't even want me at church. That's bad.
Yeah, my family they still are like a front row family, like my grandpa was. And then I passed down to my dad. And so every time they're trying to get in the front fucking row. And so they can't have anything looking down on the front row.
No way. Yeah, no.
Well, and that's my number 2 is hungover. When you're like, it kind of goes hand in hand. Maybe if your mom is that shitty at you or whatever, but then, even if they don't really know you're hungover, that's when it's awesome. When it's just the day where it's like, all right, you don't have to go, and you are hungover, and it's just that next hour of sleep is just so heavenly. It's sometimes more heavenly than going to church.
Yes, I know that feeling. How about this? This might again be like it's only an instance with me, but when it's a holiday, so you got the Easter and the Christmas crowd coming in. We were late to the show, and there was like parking was like, oh yeah, in our house. Like we did the loop, we tried to park, we couldn't, we kept going. Like maybe there's a spot here. The next thing you know, we were like back at our driveway, and my mom was like, and at that point we're like 15, 20 minutes into mass. She was like, fuck it, we'll try again next year. And I was like, yes. It's like that was better than a snow day. That was better than hitting the lottery. It was like
the best Christmas present on Christmas Eve.
It was like, rip the sweater off, get the khakis off. We're going right back to the couch. Fuck it. Sorry, God. Oh, it was amazing, dude. That was great.
Yeah, because at the end, like once mass has started, it's just that 5 to 10 minute frame where you're like, are we gonna walk in late? Or are they just gonna turn it in? Are we walking late? Or are they gonna turn it in? Finally, when they forfeit,
yep.
Great fucking call there, man. That's and going back to my number 3, like that's become the thing. Like my mom, she used to obviously like Christmas and Easter. We would always go, but Christmas and Easter, it was like we are fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And in my adult life now, I have other responsibilities and shit. So on Christmas Eve, I've just been like, not going with you guys.
Not happening. Sorry. Yeah. My parents have been pretty cool about being like, yeah, we know this is kind of silly and it's weird to support this whole institution, and you can do whatever you want. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go.
No, the handshake fucking emoji right there.
Yep.
My number 1, and this tops. I think this, and it definitely does tops yourself being hungover, is when your parents are hungover and they don't want to go.
Yes. And they're trying to hide it. Your parents will never let you know when they're hungover. It's like, oh, I think I'm just a little under the weather. I have a cold. It's like, oh, you have a cold because you had 3 bottles of wine last night. Is that why? And they don't want to admit it. You know what's going on. It's like, whatever. Oh, feel better. Okay, Mom. You drunk? I'm
the opposite. I when I know that, my teenage years and shit, I can stick the knife in there.
Yeah.
All the times they did it to me. So when I know that my mom's had too many drinks or whatever, she's like, my stomach kind of, I'm just like, oh, come on. We gotta go. 9 a.m. mass. We're in the front row. I like to stick the knife.
You got it. Jesus is watching. Let's go, Ma. Tables have turned on you, bitch. My number one, I'm gonna go with a loophole here. It's not missing mass. It's kind of it's two. I'm really just cramming in two of my favorite things in mass. Number one, the dip out after communion is just my favorite thing in the world. So it's not when you miss mass, but it's when you miss the final bit of mass, where it's almost like when the credits are rolling at the movie. It's like maybe there's going to be a post-credit scene, but probably not. This wasn't a Marvel movie. We can just get the hell out of here. There's nothing else that we need.
What are you missing? You're not missing anything.
Yeah, they're just reading there'll be a bake sale on Sunday, and we'll have like the nativity scene on Saturday. It's like, well, I'm not here for your schedule. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
You could miss
one better than that.
You could miss one final banger though, like a church song.
Yeah. You know what I would do if I was the priest? I'd be like, I'd make sure after communion is like, and here's where we'll do the $100 raffle where one of you kids will win $100 for nothing. How about that, fuckers? But my favorite thing, and it would negate this entire list of not wanting to go and trying to get out of church. When you had that one priest who did quick masses, I know you had when you did your video, I think a week ago, where it was like stats of mass, and it was like, Father Donald, he's had 5 straight masses under 35 minutes. Ours was Father Donald. He was blind. He was legit blind. He was like 90% blind. So he would wear these like binocular things that would let him read the Bible. And he held it right up. He had spoken voice, tiny man. And his homily was always like maybe 10 minutes, but very like poignant. He would say a lot in a little. And mass was never more than 35 minutes. And it was like, oh, I don't even mind going now. Why don't they do this all the time? We would actually want to be here. So short, the only thing better than short mass priest is like a substitute teacher. When you open the doors of mass and you see that you basically got your sub for the day, you see that it's short mass guy, like, let's go. I'm actually going to listen today. I'm actually going to do the prayers. I'm going to actually engage because I know this is going to be an hour and 15. That's the worst. When they go over the hour, it's like, come on, overtime now? Jesus Christ.
Homily, yeah, you're fucking dozing and shit.
When they do like the 4th verse of a song, you're like closing up the book and the choir goes back up. It's like, no.
What are we doing?
The extended version? We're doing the extra verse? Come on, man.
2 verses. That's it.
2, a chorus, and you're gone. Come on.
You get it, man. You fucking get it. KFC, man. I've held you for too long here. I appreciate you. Pleasure. I appreciate you hopping on, man. Always great chatting with you, and I hope that hey, let's do the fucking life swap. You come out to Indy.
Imagine. We should go to mass. We should do a mass video.
Yeah.
We'll go to church together. Bar Stool goes to church. But yeah, I'm loving the morning show is a format that, especially once Sirius kicked the bucket and the breakfast guys are still filling out their thing. The morning is a great time slot to fill. So good on you for jumping on it and just doing it. Like we said, do a YouTube live, do an Instagram live, start your videos, start your blog, just do it. And also come up with a way to do picture perfect impressions of people like Joey Ken, you freak. What a gift from God that was. That's why you should go to church, to just be like, thanks for that accent. Thanks for the mannerisms. Thanks. Because, man, what a gift, dude.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, we'll set that up, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Have a good one, bro.
Thanks, buddy. KFC, man. Love it. That was great. And that's one of my favorite parts about KFC is he's just so conversational. I'm a conversational guy. When I interview people, I'm not 60 minutesing them. I just like to have a conversation and you join along with us, and that's exactly what it was. So appreciate KFC hopping on from Girl Talk Sports. Nothing is better than sleeping in your bed than sitting on a hard as wood pew on a Sunday morning after drinking the nights before. That's another thing. Hey, Catholic churches, let's make some comfier seats. Out with the pews, in with some cushion, huh? Maybe they'll get the right to go up for attendance. I don't know. Tomorrow, Stu Feiner, the legendary Stu Feiner, ready to roll. He's joining. It's a fucking awesome interview. So much fun. You got to be there for it, as well as Follower Friday. Going to talk more about that. You're going to be able to get your questions in. I'm going to interact with you just like I did on IG the past, however many Fridays. We're going to do it live on the show. So get your questions in. That Stu Feiner to wrap up the week. Get your merchandise below. Subscribe. Share the video. Talk to you tomorrow live at 9.